Aristotle's life. Aristotle, the Greek philosopher and founder of Aristotelian school, was born in 384 BC. His father was Nicomedes, a physician to King Amycus III of Macedonia. He studied under Plato at the Academy of Athens and wrote extensively about his teacher's theories. He asked to be buried next to his wife Hercules, who had died some years before. His work was discovered after centuries in a molder cellar in Asia Minor.
There are four Aristotle's virtues. First one, prudence, is the cardinal virtue that disposes the practical reason to discern, in every circumstance, our true good and to choose the right means for achieving it. Second, justice. Justice is lawfulness. In Aristotle's view, justice has to do with proper relations and fulfillment of obligations to others. Third one, fortitude. Fortitude is the cardinal virtue that ensures a steadiness of the will in the pursuit of the good, notwithstanding any difficulties. The last one, temperance. Temperance is a virtue that moderates attraction and desire for pleasure and provides balance in the use of created goods.
Long time ago, approximately 350 before Christ, the Greek philosopher Aristotle defined the first principle as the first basis from which a thing is known. Typically, uncovering first principles requires time and effort to dig deeper beyond our initial assumptions, until the foundational truths are uncovered. About 2,000 years later, in 1641, René Descartes, the French philosopher, used the same concept to develop a method called Cartesian doubt, in which he would systematically doubt everything he could possibly doubt, until he was left with what he saw as purely indubitable truths. Descartes' method is believed by many to be the start of the modern scientific method. In every systematic inquiry, where there are first principles, or causes, or elements, knowledge and science result from acquiring knowledge of these, where we think we know something just in case we acquire knowledge of the primary causes, the primary first principles, all the way to the elements. It is clear that in the science of nature, as elsewhere, we should try first to determine questions about the first principles.
Aristotle's theory, the logic of the categorical syllogism classification of living beings, founder of zoology, contribution of physics, influences in the history of psychology, advances in meteorology, ethics, Aristotelianism, politics, and poetics. One of Aristotle's most persistent contributions to science, and indeed the core of his physics, was his theory of the elements, which endured until the end of the 18th century and the dawn of the chemical revolution. Apart from astronomy, the theory of the elements was the core of Asian natural philosophy.
Aristotle was one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived and the first genuine scientist in history. He wrote extensively, making noteworthy contributions to numerous fields including physical sciences such as astronomy, anatomy, embryology, geology, geography, meteorology, zoology, and physics. In the field of philosophy, Aristotle wrote about ethics, aesthetics, government, politics, metaphysics, economics, rhetoric, psychology, and theology. He also studied fine arts, making significant contributions to subjects such as literature, poetry, drama, and rhetoric.
A long time ago, approximately 350 BC, the Greek philosopher Aristotle defined the first principle as the first basis from which a thing is known. Typically, uncovering first principles requires time and effort to dig deeper beyond our initial assumptions until the foundational truths are uncovered.